Now, before we talk about the PS4, let's have a look at some of the Xbox One's launch titles.
Yes, and with Dead Rising 3, nothing lasts forever. Dead Rising 3, otherwise known as a zombie-flattening simulator, takes us out of the mall and puts us in the city. You play as Nick, who is a mechanic caught up in the latest outbreak. Him and his crew are on a deadline to get out of town before the zombie cleansing bomb hits.
Wonder if anybody's in there.
This isn't a huge departure for the Dead Rising games. In fact, if you like the last couple, then I think you'll probably enjoy this about as much. The world itself is quite small though. It feels kind of like a giant mall that you can drive through with no roof.
It is nice to be in a proper city setting though.
Yeah, that is true. I was just expecting more variety in the city itself. It's really just a bunch of roads with some connecting sections, and I just wanted it all to be bigger and more open and some classic zombie locales, maybe go out to the suburbs, but no.
Yeah, well, there are plenty of shops you can go into though, often to hide. I think Dead Rising really is about making your own fun. There are just so many weapons you can make. These range from shock hammers to an electrified blanket hat. You're always looking for something to build, and the game encourages you to do so in quite a few ways. And yet, you don't need a workbench. You can create at any time, which I think adds a lot to the sequel. There's also vehicle creation, and while we didn't end up exploring that too much, it's a nice addition. And each area is full of collectibles and gear and blueprints to make weapons. Oh, yeah. They're a bit tricky to find amongst all the corpses though.
Yeah. I'm happy to say, it's great we see so many corpses now that don't disappear like in last gen, and I think we have new hardware to thank for that. I think we can also thank new hardware for the wonderful Walking Dead moments this game has, when you come around a corner and you see this. So many zombies.
Yeah, I've never seen so many zombies on screen at once. And zombie density changes a fair bit. You'll often have to literally carve a path through hundreds of them simply to move to the next road. The dead are not that much of a threat during the day, but at night they get more aggressive and tougher.
As you progress through the storyline, the game will introduce biker gangs, tougher mutated zombies, and character-specific ones, such as Gridiron Zombie. The zombies die in many different ways, but I just wish there were more of those character-specific ones, you know, more challenge in that way.
It's great to have all of this going on screen at once, but without a strong and varied art style to the world, moving from point to point just gets old fast.
Yeah, the world all does look quite similar, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what didn't get old though? The fashion!
You know, you really are indeed gigantic, sir. Ah! Not a sir, man!
This game has now hit a Saints Row level of crazy outfit experimentation, which leads to some hilarious moments and cutscenes.
The name we're looking for is Nicole White.
What about my Zombrex? I could die, man.
First things first. It'll look okay to me.
There are heaps of reference tutorials, but the game doesn't do a great job of explaining how the mechanics work to you.
Yeah, it pretty much assumes that you've played the last couple of games, doesn't it? But I do like the way they reward you for your efforts. Saving civilians, doing challenges.
I need a meat cleaver and a chainsaw.
It all awards you with precious XP, used to unlock a vast tree of skills and upgrades.
There is a lot about the Dead Rising formula that I really like, Hex, but there's so much that frustrates me too.
These people were just looking for safety. You'd no right to kill them.
I love how this twisted world is full of twisted characters. It kind of feels like everyone is over-characterized to the point where they're making fun of stereotypes and cliches, and that's quite clever.
Shut up, they're gonna hear us!
You know, why don't you calm the hell down, asshole? As long as they're outside, we got nothing to worry about.
But then they do some really weird stuff that just feels out of place.
Yeah, I don't understand why that policewoman gets off on violence and USB drives.
The last thing we need is evidence of our rescue.
I love USB drives too, but not that much.
I mean, I can understand a 32 gig one.
Also, time limits make a return to the missions, which I'm so not a fan of. I just hate being restricted in that way.
Yeah, normally I'd be right with you, but I softened on it a little bit with this iteration, and I don't know, I just felt like I had enough time to do them, and it was part of the living, breathing world, and I chose whether to interact with it or not.
I do think bosses have a bit too much health, though.
Yeah. It is infuriating, but I also think it's there to balance out the co-op, which really is the way that this game should be played, and sadly we couldn't test that out at the time of review, but I imagine it would make it instantly more fun in every aspect of this game.
All in all, I think it's great that there's no loading except for when you die, and it definitely feels like a step forward for the series, but not really a leap, so I'm giving it 7.
I liked all the Kinect integration. You can yell out certain things like, "You're crazy," in a boss fight. It only understands me half the time though, but still, I like all that's in there. But this really is a big game of fetch quests, and I didn't have a great time, so I'm giving it 6 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Do you want me to off you? So you don't gotta suffer.